Welcome to On the Frontline, the Military Rec Show, where we spotlight the professionals dedicated to strengthening the quality of life for our military communities around the world. In this episode, we're diving into the world of military aquatics, exploring how pools, water safety programs, fitness training, and family recreation support readiness, resilience, and connection across our installations. Join host John Prue as he sits down with aquatics leaders from the Army and Navy, Judy Rohe and Beth Cole, along with aquatics expert Wesley King, to discuss innovative programming, staff development, water safety, and the unique role recreation plays in supporting service members and their families. This is On the Frontline, powered by the DPRS Media Network. Let's dive in.
All right, it is 13:30 on Tuesday, 14 April 2026, and you are on the front line. My name is John Prue. As the host of this weekly podcast focused on armed forces or military recreation, we talk to professionals in the industry who are in some way making a difference in the quality of life of our military and their families. You all might be MWR professional out there, morale, welfare, and recreation, who directly support quality of life for our military families each and every day. Maybe you are or have been in the military or a user of MWR programs or services at some point, and we thank you for your service. Perhaps you're a business or organization who directly support or wants to support our armed forces recreation professionals around the globe. Maybe you are a public parks and recreation professional curious about that thing called military recreation and what it's all about. Or perhaps you don't fit into any of those categories and you just tuned in. Either way, welcome. Welcome to On the Front Line, the Military Rec Show. Okay, we have a great show for you today, and we are actually cross-pollinating within DPRS Media Network. Not only do we have two MWR professionals representing the Army and Navy respectfully, we also have the infamous Wesley King, host of the Aquatic Life Show on the DPRS Media Network. So this is going to be an awesome show. Can't wait to get the guests up and really start talking all things aquatics. And you'll find that our military recreational pools and fitness pools, and we'll talk about that, are a lot like what's going on in any public parks and recreation agency. But there are some differences, and it might be interesting to make note of those differences. And our panel here today are going to talk all about that. So, as you know, we are a part of an amazing media company called Daily Parks and Rec Show, or DPRS. DPRS Media exists to honor those park and recreation industry folks who really kind of reflect stories. They highlight their careers. They sell, and we really are celebrating those pros who are doing the essential work in our communities, and that includes our military communities. First, want to give a shout out to Jovi, our producer. She's behind the scenes, pulling up graphics, working on transitions, actually trying to make us look good, make me look good, which is tough to do. So, in advance, Jovi, thanks for what you do. I also want to thank our founder of DPRS Media, Craig LeBlanc, and the many podcasts and shows that have been impacting the parks and recreation industry. I really want to thank him for allowing us the opportunity to have this weekly podcast focus solely on military recreation and the great work that's being done out there to support our military community. All right. Today's sponsor is Outdoor Link. If you want to turn on your entire city on and off with a swipe of a finger on an app, this is what Outdoor Link does. Outdoor Link builds smart cities connecting your park lights, splash pads, fountains, scoreboards, bathroom door locks, or whatever is powered by electricity into a simple app on your phone, tablet, or desktop that can be controlled from any location 24/7, 365 days a year. If you want to learn more about Outdoor Link, you can tune in to the Smart Forward Show with Dave Ramirez on the second and fourth Monday at 1:30 Eastern Time on the DPRS network. We'll also see a short promo here from Outdoor Link and on JDP Services Management Consulting, which is near and dear to me. So, Jovi, why don't you go ahead and play those spots, and we'll be right back.
JDP Services Management Consulting, supporting parks and recreation and the essential service they provide. Communities benefit greatly from having dedicated advocates who champion the value of play in open spaces. Such advocacy ensures that recreational areas are prioritized and managed in ways that enhance the overall quality of life for everyone. We are dedicated to fortifying public park and recreation agencies and other related organizations by taking a practical, engaged approach to consulting and training, addressing immediate needs while equipping clients with lasting insight and tools to strengthen their organizations for long-term success. JDP Services, Management Consulting, meeting needs and exceeding expectations.
In today's parks and recreation industry, communication, safety, and efficiency go hand in hand. That's where Outdoor Link comes in, delivering smart technology that empowers city departments and community planners to do more, smarter. Outdoor Link's platform connects and automates everything that keeps your parks running smoothly, from lighting and locks to signage, water features, Wi-Fi, and digital advertising. Control and schedule park lights for safety and energy savings. Remotely manage facility access. Coordinate fountains and splash pads. Provide public connectivity. All from one simple, unified platform, giving you real-time control, data, and cost efficiency. For parks and recreation agencies, that means safer spaces, smarter resource use, faster responses, and stronger community engagement. And behind every great park story is great infrastructure. That's why Outdoor Link proudly supports DPRS Media Company, helping the daily Parks and Rec Show amplify the voices of professionals shaping our communities every day. Outdoor Link, smart, connected solutions for parks, recreation, and beyond.
All right, we are back. And again, we've got a great show for you. So let's pull up our program highlights. Jovi, if you can bring that up on the screen. As we do each and every episode, we like to highlight some of the great work that's being done by our MWR, FMWR professionals across the globe. Some of these come through our social media channels, through the Armed Forces Recreation Network, which is part of NRPA. We'll talk about how you can be a part of that if you'd like. But I do want to get through these slides to kind of highlight it. Cool things happening in the month of March. It's still, or a month of April. It is Month of the Military Child, so we are super proud of that and recognizing that not only on our military bases, but where need be, larger communities, outside communities that have military population, typically near military bases. We're celebrating with those communities too and honoring the military child, which is so important. First of all, we are highlighting Marine Corps MCCS, which is their version of kind of MWR stuff at Camp Pendleton, and they had a Super Kids Fair this past weekend. So a lot of cool activities. As a matter of fact, the programming is, between Easter that just wrapped up and now into the month of military child. Attention, I want to highlight that they had the kids were all dressed up and kind of honoring their little superheroes and various other things. Anyways, had a great time at Pendleton last weekend. Okay, Fort Sill, another superhero ball, must be the month. Everybody was dressed up, and again, they had tons of pictures that they uploaded on Facebook. This was just a couple of them that I'm highlighting here, but everybody was in hero mode, so to speak. So they had a great time at Fort Sill in Oklahoma, I believe. And then Spring Fling, again, another one. You'll see a lot of purple out there representing the month of the military child, and we're honoring a few things this month as well. So it fits out perfect, but you can see all the different activities for the kids and families. They had a great turnout at Spring Fling at NAS, Naval Air Station, Key West, Florida. Not a bad place to be. I always wanted to be at that duty station. I never could find the right job. All right, Yokota Air Base in Japan. They had a little joint training competition. The U.S. Air Force, New Zealand Air Force, and Australian Air Force were all in doing a training assignment, which they typically do between the military. But they got off and did a little R&R or recreation and had a little sports and fitness competition amongst them. So thought this was kind of cool. Here we go. We've got joint forces out there across different countries getting together and not only doing the hard work of military training, but also having a little fun and some competition. And I'm sure it was fun competition, but knowing those folks, I'm sure everybody wanted to win. That's just the way it is. All right. And I want to highlight Operation MWR. There's going to be 50 of these. This is run by Navy MWR, Navy Entertainment. They've done some big concerts last year. They've been doing this for a couple of years now, but they're back to offering, I think, 50 different locations where they're doing major entertainment, various levels depending on the base and size. But it's about resiliency. It's about building morale. And also exposing our general public on those bases to what the goodness of what MWR does. So there's a little bit of marketing and promotion behind it too. Either way, great entertainment going on. And the first one that's kicking off for 2026 is Kane Brown. Also, Russell Dickerson is the support act, and that's happening at Naval Air Station, Pensacola this weekend. So really cool. First of many free big events happening within that umbrella called Operation MWR. Okay, and as I mentioned, through the Armed Forces Recreation Network of NRPA, they have a great set of social media. You can see it, the Facebook site in the middle. There's a QR code if you happen to want to pop up and take that. If not, it's easy to find. You can search Armed Forces Recreation Network on either Facebook or LinkedIn. We've got nearly 1,000 members on Facebook. I think we have about 250 on LinkedIn. Facebook obviously is the most popular. We're getting anywhere from 150 to 170 posts or reposts on the Facebook page of all these cool programs I just showed you. And this was a small sampling of what I saw this past week. So really cool stuff. And if you're in the business, so to speak, ask to be on it, on the network, and that will show up on your feed as well in the future. So just reach out. And then on the left side, you'll see a QR code to sign up for their monthly meetings. They just had a great one. Matter of fact, on Aquatics, which is our topic today. And it was really good. I saw the recorded version. I wasn't able to attend it personally, but I did see the recorded version. It was great. And anyways, NRPA kind of controls this, but very easy to be invited to their monthly meetings, which typically happen on Zoom, and it happens on the second Wednesday of each month. The Armed Forces Recreation Network, part of the network system for NRPA. So with that, Joby, you can pull that down, and why don't we bring up our guests here? All right. There they are. There they are. Perfect. All right. We are going to introduce each and every one of these fine folks, and I'm so glad to be able to get this thing off and running. First of all, we have Judy Rohe. She is the branch chief of sports, fitness, and aquatics at FMWR in Fort Riley, Kansas. Really good, solid program. Past gold medal winner as well a couple of years back. So, Judy, welcome. Nice to have you. All right. Also here is Beth Cole. She's representing the Navy. She's currently the MWR ticket and travel manager at Naval Air Station Jacksonville in Florida. Beth, thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
All
I am
right.
sorry, but I have lost the sound, so I'm not able to hear you.
Okay. Well, Judy, as we get through some of these introductions, what has happened well as being logging off and then logging back on. We'll see you pop up back on the screen, and then we could talk about your journey in the career. Once you do that, and I think hopefully you'll be able to hear us. And Jovi, if you can relay that message via chat, we'll go from there. All right. And last but not least is Wesley King. Wesley is the owner and founder of Wesley King Consulting and host of the DPRS Media Show new podcast on our network, the Aquatics Life Show. So, Wesley, glad to have you here.
Thanks for being here and excited to connect to everybody.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. Hopefully we can get Judy squared away. Jovi, if you can keep trying to communicate with her, that would be awesome. She can't hear us right now. So I want to start here, and we'll wait for Judy to hopefully reconnect and get back in there. But Wesley, I was so glad to see you get on the DPRS network. When I heard you were going to be a show host, I'm like, oh, wow. Wesley is connected. He is all over the world. Everybody knows him, good or bad. Everybody knows you.
One way or the other.
Yeah. So I was super glad to, one, know that you're going to be hosting a show every Friday for us on DPRS Network, but also the fact that you can be a part of our show where we're talking about aquatics. And we kind of in the last week or so got you a little bit educated on some of the things in military recreation or MWR, what we do in our aquatics programs. So that's awesome. But why don't you start with your journey and see if you can kind of share how you got involved with aquatics and how you made it to having your own consulting company. Take us through that.
Yeah. Thank you. Long story long, as I like to say, but definitely I'll keep it short so Beth and Judy can be the stars of the show for sure. But so 31 years ago, believe it, 1995, I became a certified lifeguard, and I grew up in a Central Illinois, Peoria, Illinois. We had an in-ground pool, and so I grew up in the water. I became a certified lifeguard, and then my hometown built the largest water park in Central Illinois while I was 16. And so I organically grew my way into that. And I figured this is something I want to do for a long time. In fact, when my grandfather passed away, who was in the Korean War as a first sergeant forward artillery spotter, got that right. I got a tattoo on his behalf, and I made sure it fit inside the tank top lines because I thought at age 21, in case I need a tank top when I'm 50, still in aquatics, I have to have the tattoo covered up. So it's always been something I've thought of. And then I ran the gamut, the YMCA, the JCC, Lifetime Fitness, the American Red Cross. Put any letters in front of it. I ran it, the largest water park in the country, yada, yada, yada. I wrote some books. We won some awards. And the last 10 to 15 years, I've really dedicated my work to the medical fitness community, Medical Fitness Association, and then really understanding the needs of aquatics. And that leads me to consulting. And my goal is to hit the 99% of pools and people that will never attend a national conference. I was born in the Midwest. I want to help the Midwest, but I also want the corporations and the big management companies to know there are real requirements, even though, as we all know, there's only one national law. So taking the risk and the revenue side and bringing it together through workshops, training, mentoring, education, but really ideally reducing your risk and increasing your revenue. And then I started this fun thing called All Things Aquatics, a Facebook group that has turned into a national convention, workshops, exchanges of ideas, etc. So look at me. That might have been the quickest and fastest, but I want credit for it. So that's me in aquatics.
Thanks to your grandpa for his service, and that's pretty cool. You've got a tattoo to represent that. I think that's fascinating. It is so important that a lot of folks don't get to go to these national conferences. There's some great ones out there, and if you can make it, great. If you can get your organization to pay for it, wonderful. But that doesn't always happen. And sometimes it might be, I get to go to the conference once every 3 years or something like that. So the ability to kind of bring those tools and that networking that you get at a national conference kind of through virtual platforms or through your consulting, that's terrific. And you're well known. Like I said, I'm not even an aquatics guy, so to speak. And I've heard your name for years already. So that's awesome.
My father-in-law was also in the Army in Vietnam and the infantry as specialist. So I wanted to make sure I get both sides of the family. Apologize but I realized at the beginning I have it right here and I didn't get to it. So my apologies, but Beth and Judy, please, yes.
Yeah, no, give your wife thanks for his service as well. So Judy, are you back on? You can hear us?
I am, yes.
Perfect. Well, Judy, tell us about your journey from getting involved originally kind of with aquatics to now your pretty important job at a major military base at Fort Riley, Kansas. So Judy, go ahead.
All right. So my love for aquatics started with, I've always been a swimmer, love to swim. And I started doing some triathlons. And after we moved back to Fort Riley, I was swimming at the pool out here and always saw that they needed help. They were always short-staffed. So I just applied for a job just as a little part-time on the side gig as my kids were getting older. And it turned into where I'm at today. I've been in aquatics for the last 14 years. I was the program manager for about 6 to 7 years. And then 2 years ago, I became the sports fitness and aquatics branch chief here at Fort Riley. So learning and growing every day.
Yeah. So you were a military family member.
Yes.
Happened to get a job, and there you progressed up kind of the chain of command. That is so cool. I love those stories because we have lots of them out there that come in and support. We've got leadership across the services at that quality of life programs that are, military family members who get a job and then all of a sudden they're really good and they fleet up, and you're certainly a great example of that. Thanks, Judy, and looking forward to talking to you today. All right, Beth, you threw me off with that title of ticket and travel manager, but tell us about your journey.
Okay, so I also became a lifeguard at 16 for our base in Fallon, and I absolutely loved it. And shortly after, so that was like 23 years ago, then I started doing lessons and teaching lifeguarding probably around 20 years ago. And then I just loved that. And after I got married and we went from base to base, I started managing all the aquatic facilities became an instructor trainer, which, I love doing that. So I've kind of bounced around from a couple of, lots of bases all over the world. And so I became the regional representative in Europe when I was in Sigonella. So I've done a lot of training in Naples, Bahrain. I just recently did some trainings over there in Gitmo for their staff. And so I've kind of gone all over. And when we got stationed back here in Jax, I was working at the pool, but there was no full-time position open. And so how I kind of like moved over is we had a bowling center manager position open, and I went out for it and I said, I love what I do, but I am a great manager and I always want to build all of our programs for our military folks. And if you give me the chance, I will do that. I do want to stay connected to my aquatic roots. And they said, sure. And so I did that, and I did that for over a year and grew their program. And then ticketing came open. I've always thought that the ticket program was really cool. So I've been here for about 3 years, and I still train with the lifeguards regularly because I love that program so much. But I've also really enjoyed taking this program and adding trips and all sorts of the new things that they do here too. So
Yeah, that
kind of my journey.
that is awesome. That is awesome. A couple things. One, I guess you could say the little clause in everybody's position description says other duties as assigned. I guess that fits you because you're doing a lot of aquatics for being the ticket and travel manager.
Right.
That's true.
You fit well into the park and recreation as duties assigned. Yeah.
And then I love the part about the bowling center, just part of this unique umbrella of business lines that we manage under this MWR thing, which is a little different than most public parks and rec agencies. Most of them don't have bowling centers they run. So I used to have a bowling center manager who used to say he'd try to keep his head above water. So I see the connection with you on that one, Beth. So, but both Beth and Judy were recommended to me when I was trying to put this podcast together, and I said, "Hey, I need good people who can speak on the topic and represent the services." And both came highly recommended from their leadership. So, congrats to both of you.
Thank you.
I want to get into that, and I'm going to start. The focus, as I mentioned earlier in my intro, us running an aquatics program on a military base, which is very much like a city. It's run just like a city. The CO or garrison commander or captain on a U.S. Navy base, they're like the mayor or city manager of a town. They have a public works department. They have security, police, fire. They have their recreation department called FMWR, and within there, obviously, we do aquatics. So we're not all that different here. Matter of fact, a lot of our aquatics professionals across the system actually either cross over from public parks and rec, or our folks sometimes cross back over to public parks and rec, depending on the circumstances. But I do want to highlight things because we do have a military mission. So we've got two categories of pools, and we like to call them Cat A, Cat B, that kind of thing. That I'm not going to go into that. That's a whole nother session to educate people who are outside of our world. But basically, mission essential or physical fitness related pools that are there for the purpose of the military mission and are more supportive and we should fund them and have them. And then of course we have our recreational pools. So Beth, can you start, and Judy, I'll have you comment on it too. Can you talk a little bit more about our two types of pools and what you have to offer maybe at Jacksonville versus what you don't?
So a lot of our pools are completely funded for if we're sharing them with like the search and rescue school out here. So that one is completely funded even when we have like our open swims, right? So that's completely part of it. But then we have an outdoor pool that's completely separated. And so sometimes part of that pool does need to be partially funded by its own accord, which is if we have guests, the guests pay, not our military or the active duty dependents, but a guest that's coming on, or if we're doing parties, the swimming lessons help. And then I call them like little snack shacks, So we got those that are on there that really help bring in some of the funding that is needed to make.
Yeah, and you don't have any beaches or open water, because we will manage those in some cases within the MWR, but again, depends on your location.
Right. We don't here. Mayport, which is not very far, does have the beach. So they have two even distinct different kinds of lifeguards that go out there, because you have to be specific for the beach itself. And so that is a whole different ball game out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Judy, would you like to talk about the two kinds of pools and how it works in the Army?
Yeah, very similar to Beth's mission. We have the programs that are completely focused on mission and soldier combat water survival training or unit training. And then we also offer the recreational swim program, swimming lessons, the special events, and all the fun things that people like to do in the pool besides swim laps.
Yeah. Do you guys have an outdoor pool there at Fort Riley?
Yes, we have a small outdoor aquatic park that has a few water features. It's got a small little water channel, some slides, and a little toddler pool, a splash pad. So it's not like on a very large scale, but it fits our size of community here. And then we have an iced or indoor pool. It's kind of a dual purpose. We do some military training, and then we also, have the recreational swim there as well.
Awesome. To kind of set the level too, everything in aquatics is free, or do you have user fees for certain things? Judy, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so we do have user fees that are very close in line to what we see in the surrounding communities, what we charge for daily entry fees, swim passes, charge for swimming lessons. So anything that's not military mission focused, we're going to charge a fee for, just because we need to be able to support the program and bring some revenue back into it to continue to be able to offer it to the community.
Yeah. How about you, Beth?
So, currently we do bring in money for the swim lessons, snack shack, if we have parties, things of that nature, and some guests, if they're bringing guests. But we still are free to our active duty and dependents for open swim. And all of our programming, like any of the events that we are putting on, are completely free to our patrons. So we do try to offer as much as we can without charging.
Yeah, and for everybody, that's kind of the difference between that Cat A and Cat B, again, without getting into MWR Finance 101. Our Category A's are mission essential and in theory should be funded with taxpayer dollars. In theory, they don't. We have to subsidize them, but and then the Category B's are set up as kind of community services, kind of they should get maybe some taxpayer support, maybe a little bit, and then we use nominal user fees to help subsidize those programs. That's kind of how it works. So, okay, well, that's kind of laid the groundwork of kind of what's this peek behind the door of military aquatics. So we get a groundwork. We're going to get into some tougher questions and more interesting questions right when we get back from a break. We're going to do a couple promos, but promise we'll be right back and carry on this great show about all things aquatics. Jovi, go ahead and take it away.
It didn't start with a big studio. It didn't start with a massive audience. It started with a simple idea. One conversation, one camera, one episode. Back then, DPRS Media Network was just a vision. No guarantees, no roadmap, just a purpose. to tell stories that mattered, stories from the Parks and Recreation community, stories of leadership, passion, impact, and the people making a difference every single day. Episode by episode, that vision began to grow. More conversations, more voices, more people who believed in what we were building. What started as a show became something much bigger. A place where people felt seen, a place where ideas were shared, a place where the Parks and Rec community could connect, learn, and inspire one another. And today, we celebrate a major milestone. 500 episodes, 500 stories, 500 moments, 500 reasons to keep moving forward. But this is not the finish line. This is the beginning of our next chapter. In the months ahead and in the years to come, DPRS Media Network is growing into something even greater. We are building something truly special for the Parks and Recreation community. Something designed to bring people closer, to create stronger connections, to open new opportunities, and to continue serving the people who inspire everything we do. We are also expanding our reach through new partnerships, working with organizations who believe in our mission, partners who share our vision for community, leadership, and impact. And beyond the screen, we're showing up in more places than ever before, attending conferences, meeting leaders face-to-face, building connections that strengthen our community. Because DPRS has never been just about content. It has always been about connection. To everyone who has been with us, from episode 1 to episode 500, thank you. This milestone belongs to all of you. Here's to how it all started. And here's to everything still to come. The future of DPRS Media Network starts now.
All right, we are back. Wes, I want to ask you about this thing called MWR Aquatics and military recreation aquatics and pool management so far.
It is everything I thought it would be and more. They say never meet your heroes. Well, this is just proof to that theory. What I love is that we know there are no national laws protecting pools, a la Virginia Graham Baker. And when we got to chat, it sadly reaffirmed it, but also really gave me a lot of hope, because the way you guys talk about everything and the way everything is termed and the way the mission versus recreation, we think like that, but we often don't execute like that. And so to see that it being done very well gives me a lot of hope, but also the commonalities and the crossover of the training. And then lastly, kind of teasing the idea, is just the mindset of how you use the pool and its purpose for lap swimming, right? Versus family, versus taking the lane lines out. And so it's just been a great education for me and hopefully the people I work with to understand how the pool can be used differently while having similar expectations.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And that's a great transition to what we're going to talk about next is really our programming. And I was hoping, I didn't want to dig back into the future because there's plenty of programming that shows up on those social media sites that I was demonstrating before from Armed Forces Recreation Network. We have programming that is incredible that's happening in the pool. Matter of fact, I think last week we highlighted an egg hunt that was actually took place in the pool. So I mean, really cool programming. And to that point, Beth, tell us about some of the programming stuff you guys are doing outside of the typical lap swimming.
Lap swimming. Okay. So, I mean, I've been in a lot of different places, but like we've done a lot of partnering with fitness. So we used to do this one called WOD on the Water, which is workout of the day. So we really worked with the fitness portion, that we would do something on the dry land and then they would get in and they had the entire day to do that. We had like one every quarter. At the end, they got a t-shirt. So that one was really fun to do. I mean, we do the typical triathlons and sprints, stuff like that. But we've also done like water tube, water polo, where they're sitting in the tubes and they do it that way, which gives it a little more fun. They don't have to be super great shape and able to do those things. So we'll do tournaments. We've done
sign me up. Sign me up for that one. The one in the tube.
It is a worm. It's a like arm workout because you got to just use your arm, but it is a lot of fun to watch them play that. And then done the boat regatta where you get those boats going and with the cardboard, and everyone has their own categories, and we give a best like themed one gets a prize, things of that nature. And so we really do try to program a lot. We do the Easter egg hunt out here in Fallon. I did a haunted swamp. I'm trying to think of, we did movies all summer long. We have a summer movie series so that we blow up a screen and they can come to the pool. They can swim and lounge in the pool while they're watching or on the deck. I think
back in the day when I was programming, they used to call those, or we called it, flick and float.
Yeah.
Is that
still do?
Yeah,
really? Still do.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. Wow, that's old.
So those are fun.
We just show different movies now.
Yeah, that's true. Or the same Jaws movie. You never know.
our movies, when I played them, were all black and white. We didn't have colors. It was
awesome.
At
least you had sound, right?
16 millimeter. Well, yeah, sound came in after my second or third year, but all right, we digress. Judy, how about for you guys? What kind of programming are you doing outside of the typical mission related or lap swimming?
Yeah, and we do some of the similar types of things that Beth has described. We do some night swims. People seem to like to swim outside at night, so we do some special events tied into twilight evening swims. We partner with our CYS, or Child and Youth Services, to offer some summer camps and swimming lessons. And also we've partnered with our middle school here to do some, when they're in summer school, they brought some of their kids over. The other thing that we do that I think is it's a good way to reach a lot of kids that have never been introduced to the water or are even comfortable around the water, by offering a fourth grade Learn to Swim program. So every fourth grader on all of Fort Riley has the opportunity and it's all partnered with our school district. They come and spend a week at the pool, they get a swimming lesson, and just introduced to water safety, because some of these kids just come from backgrounds that's never been made a priority. So at least we're giving them a little bit of a skill and, learn how to have fun in the water too, but respect it.
Yeah. And Beth, you have a specific program the Navy is that runs called Splash, and you guys introduced that program. That is part of your overall standards, aren't they, with the Navy? Correct.
That came into play a few years ago, but we've seen really good things about it. And so Splash is really the acronym for stay within reach. So we're just really educating parents on like stay within an arm's reach, if so that you can keep your kids safer, protect your non-swimmers. So they always got to wear that Coast Guard approved life jacket or gear. Learn to swim. We really promote those swim lessons. I think they're invaluable. And assess your swim skills. So that is the swim test that we typically give to the CDC or any of the youth that come in. They have to jump in, return to the surface in the deep end, tread water for a minute, and then swim across the pool using a recognizable stroke. And that we can tell how well they can swim there. And then swimming safety. So if they are non-swimmers, we have designated areas for them just so that they stay safer and less likely to get too tired and like preventing the drowning. And then my favorite is the H is hang up your phone. Like, it is just not worth coming to the pool with your kids and sitting on your phone. The text, the tweets, the updates is not worth missing some safety signs to then, have a drowning.
Yeah, yeah, and I know this is near and dear to your heart, Wes, in terms of safety programs, and there's a two-way street with that. It's not only, parents and participants, but it's also staff as well that you need to continue to, bring it home. We're all about making sure people can enjoy our pools, but also enjoy walking home or getting home and being there safe. So, Wes, what are your thoughts on safety compared to not only what we're doing, but in general in the industry? What are the key components?
Absolutely. And just to double down on the no cell phones, right? At the Masters tournament in Augusta, none of the attendees can have their cell phone.
Yeah.
And so I use that to my audience members and say, look, if all these professional, fancy people can go 4 days without it, you can go a few hours. So use real life references when people think they can't handle it. And if it can be done there, it can be done anywhere. So, but also going back to the answers, hearing what Judy and Beth said, it did ring really true. We all struggle with getting the elementary school age children in aquatic programming, right? In New Zealand and Western Australia, it's required from a program called Splash Save that I work with. They have to have swim tests like in PE. As Beth and Judy just acknowledged, whether it's in the military or local parks and rec, or it's not required. So just hearing the diligent efforts that you all have to make just to achieve one level, fourth grade, let alone everybody else, it really rings true to what we're all working through. And then when we talk about taking the lane lines out, that's what I loved about this conversation is you guys start with the families in mind. You start with the fact that people are transient. You start with the fact that nobody knows each other sometimes when they get to the military. And so rather than putting your head down and swimming laps in a lane line, let's take the lane lines out and let's invite the families where our heads are up and we can talk and engage. And so whether it's a shameless plug for organizations in games like Squim with Kevin McCarthy, which is like air hockey in the pool, or Otterball with Ron Usher, which is like a beginning form of water polo, all of these programs, and Splash. And don't forget hashtag swim call. I still want you all to talk about swim call because I think it's something we should do in the regular world. My point is we have so much more in common and so many similar challenges. It's frightening. And so just hearing you guys talk about the way you have to work through things, it frighteningly warmed my heart, but also woke me up a little bit. Was like, wow, if they're listening, this is so common. And then to your real specific point about safety, how are we training our staff? What certifications and requirements? And then how quickly does our staff turn over? I bet there's as much turnover, I say turnover when I mean moving and station changing and all that, as we have in seasons from our high school kids going to college. And so that's kind of what I want to learn more about is, do we all have the same challenge in not only getting the staff, but keeping them trained and in our own buildings?
Oh, that's a great question. So let's throw that out to Judy first. Tell us about your staff training. Guards are a shortage everywhere. It's a constant challenge. How do you handle recruiting them, getting them in, and training them?
Right. Honestly, I feel pretty blessed because right now I really don't have a big problem with recruiting and filling my positions. I'm hoping that's because I'm trying to create an environment that they want to come and work in. But I also know working with young people, holding them accountable, but also just trying to be on their side, coach them, develop them, and do the training, and giving them actually a training environment to work in that makes them feel comfortable. But I always tell them, when you're on the guard stand, I want you to feel confident, but I also want you to feel a little uncomfortable. because that makes me know you're looking for what you need to be looking for in the water.
So over the last year, did you have any major incidents? You know, a save that had to be made, or a variety of them? Anything over the last year or two?
Yeah, nothing major. I mean, you're always going to see the young child come out of the slide and maybe they get a little disoriented, or the swimmer that gets into a little bit deeper water that they're not too comfortable in. But that's where I try to focus my training, is catching that before it turns into something more serious, because I don't want to have to respond in a big way to anything. I
Yeah,
want to see it as it starts and not wait till after it's happened.
yeah, yeah. How about you, Beth? In terms of, are you as blessed in terms of staffing? And then how do you handle your training? Sounds like you've got two hats anyways, but
Right.
in
We
past experiences, how did you handle it?
Yeah, we do a lot of in services and trainings, and then I think it's so crucial that we talk to other bases. We're right here in a tri-base area. So we talk to Mayport and Kings Bay. I mean, even in tickets, I talk to Mayport and Kings Bay. And so I tried when I first got here to do like a beginning of the summer training together, because I think it's very beneficial for them. And then at the end of the summer, and we would do one with a barbecue. Here it hasn't really caught on, but in other places that I've done it, it just means a lot, because then they make a little game out of it, which means they're training a little harder to remember all these things, do it faster. To what Judy was saying, I think if we have a save that is done just by the book, and I get like a comment card that says, "Oh, I didn't even realize it was real. I thought that was just a test you did," that makes me feel amazing about our staff. I also think that, so here, because we are so flex, we do try to work with them if they have school, so we can hold on to them. And we also, we do a really good job of cross training here. In fact, I have one of the lead lifeguards who doesn't have any hours during the winter. She comes here and works for my tickets. I steal people often. But then it gives them the amount of hours that then they can stay, because they're making enough to do the school and to, be those young adults that need a little extra money. And as we know that our hours go down, find somewhere for them to go or part of these events. And so it's not just the same thing. That's how we hold on to them.
Yeah, we are blessed in the fact that we have these big umbrellas called MWR, FMWR, and we have business lines, and we're constantly looking for people. So some of those key people in the seasonal operations, we can stay gainfully employed, and that makes sure that they're coming back the next season.
Yes.
So that's a good thing from our standpoint. We got a lot of business lines. Wes, does that sound about what's happening in the real world?
Yeah, it does. And again, I'm old and decrepit and janky. So back in my day, I could just offer somebody swim lessons or something else. But now there's swim schools everywhere, or there's training. So being able to really customize. So I love what you said, Beth, about getting to know that employee better and saying, look, are you in school? Can you give me this? I can guarantee you that. And I don't want to speak for everybody in aquatics, but I would venture to say that we're leaning more towards that too, of you're going to be a lifeguard. Great. Just be the best lifeguard you can be while you're here, as opposed to trying to pull straws and give you 8 things. Or you want to do a lot of things. Great. You're going to lifeguard, you're going to teach, and I'm going to really make you a valuable employee. And I think in the past, there weren't as many options. So we kind of had I see you laughing there, Beth.
Yeah.
Just show up and we'll give you whatever we want. Well, now they can go to 4 different locations and they can argue over wage, or and then the theory of they don't want to work as much and all those things. But I think we're all aligned in, if we can have a great experience, if they can understand we're here for them, if this can be a good first entry point or second entry point into the workforce, and we can teach them that beyond CPR and, first aid and those sort of things, they're going to come back. This generation is a lot smarter. Most everybody's smarter than I was, but they're a lot more cued into what their future can be and what they're looking for. So I think everybody in this call, in this industry, is spot on in understanding how we have to create that environment and create that situation for them to enjoy the job, no matter what it is.
Well, and I would also venture that, like, in our MWR, I'm hoping it's the same out there, but even though they start as a little lifeguard, they can grow into being other managers of other departments. And even our MWR director started out as a lifeguard. Like, it can happen. You don't have to just come in like that. We can move around. And I think that keeps us, the opportunities are endless if they really want them here. And I think that is what I would say to these young folks. You know,
both of you are great examples of that. You came in and grew up and flourished in the system, and you're still connected.
Yeah.
One way or another. You can never get a lifeguard. Anybody that's been a lifeguard, there's always a tie back or something that holds them close. One thing I do want to touch on, Beth, you'd mentioned that tri area with Kings Bay just down the road, and then you've got Mayport and Jacks there. And I know there's been some co-op programming and various things over the years. Opportunities down the line for potential even trainings. I mean, if you brought somebody in from Red Cross, or you needed to do some certifications, or maybe you bring in a consultant like Wes. There's some synergy there that potentially could be beneficial, obviously, with those three bases all together.
Yeah, and I know that they just put on a lifeguarding instructor course with both bases. And I believe Kings Bay was also invited. I'm not sure that they sent anybody, but with Red Cross, and you have to have so many in a class now, we can't do a class of 3. You have to have 5 or 6. This becomes crucial because we don't have the ability to just keep putting 5 or 6 people in one of those classes. And so banding together is becoming like very beneficial for all parties.
Let alone, what certification do they have if it's not the Red Cross, where back in my day, you didn't have Starguard, there was Ellis and all the other things. So now, is it even allowed or accepted with an A in your organization? I have to take a deep breath. But all those things, what qualifications do you have, and what does the state allow? And anyway, I'm sure, Judy, you're in a different state. I know it's different in Kansas than in Florida, because I've worked in both states.
Yeah,
definitely. We accept anything that is equivalent to our training. But once you're here, we definitely are very Red Cross heavy.
Okay.
Judy, same thing for you?
Yeah, same for us. We're American Red Cross certified facility.
Yeah.
And I've had to reach out to keep my own certifications current. So I've reached out to other installations so we can keep one another current on our own certs.
What about certified pool operators or aquatic facility operators? What about that certification? Do you have one or the other, or it doesn't matter as long as you've got one or the other?
Yeah, our requirement is for aquatic facility operators. So we get ours through the NRPA, and we are required to have one in the program at all times.
Okay, so if I come to you as a CPO, you're forcing me to take the AFO when my cert's up, or immediately, or you won't even consider me?
I believe we would consider you, yes.
Thank you.
But we would probably ask that when your certificate expires, that we would probably want the NRPA AFO.
And NRPA thanks you as well as being a board member.
Okay, all right, good. I have the right answer there.
We're plugging everybody today.
Yeah. Beth, how about for you?
It is not required. I did get my CPO. It is, beneficial, but we have a lot of contracts. So all of our pools are contracted. So while we do take the water quality tests and we really monitor what the contractors are doing very heavily, those are all contracted positions that are kind of out there. So it's not a requirement for them to have it, but it is nice to have.
Okay, so Navy does not require, is what you're saying,
Right.
pool operator certification of any kind. Just recommended or nice to have. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Contracted. That's the big word. Again, send your letters, people. I hope you're listening. I think that's an uptick trend in the industry too, is having pools contracted out by management companies, whether it's the chemical side, the staffing side, and then Beth, you hit the nail on the head are those contracted companies being evaluated? Are they being audited like our lifeguards are, right? Whether it's an exam or an audit. And sometimes we just hand it over and say, fill our tanks, fill our pipes, run the chemicals, and we don't know. But I again, that's another thing that we've got to better understand is what does a state require? What does my county and department require? And what am I paying somebody else to do that I either could do internally, fine, but if not, that it is at least being regulated or overseen in some way so I can talk about it. I think that trend is climbing too.
I think some of ours, because we are sharing the pool with either the search and rescue team or in my other bases, like NATO was there, or there was a SEALs compound out in Fallon that they came in and did some training. So it's like, because of that, I think a lot of that quality of the water is definitely contracted out. But we do test our water and make sure that it's, going on.
Yeah. And sometimes it's needed. I don't even have, I work with contractors that run pools. To your point, if you've got 9 different things and 9 different types of humans, it might be beneficial. But also what I love about what you guys are doing, Judy, too, is you're not just letting it go. You're not forgetting about it and just seeing the invoice every month. And I think sometimes we get away from that.
Awesome. All great conversations. Matter of fact, getting into that's going to be Aquatics 2 for us somewhere down the line. We'll invite you back, Wes. There are so many topics we could dovetail off into, but as you mentioned, with military pools, a lot of times, whether it's a contract through Public Works, but we all have Public Works, and in some cases, our Public Works kind of take control of the running of the pool filtration system and have those responsibilities. So that's maybe where we differ a little bit from public parks, but maybe not. But that's kind of where we are typically with the military. So I'm going to do a round robin for everybody to kind of wrap things up here today. And it's a great conversation, and it proves my point. We need episode 2 of the aquatics piece, because we could go on and on, especially on our side. So challenge. What's a challenge for you personally, and or the industry, and or your pool of any kind? What are the things that maybe are in the back of your mind that you need to conquer, or maybe do better, or just get a better handle on? So Beth, I'm going to start with you first.
Our biggest challenge is our pool structures are getting older, and getting the funding to make sure that they are resurfaced properly, and the equipment like the pumps and the heaters and all that stuff is replaced appropriately, and we're just not slapping a Band-Aid on it. That is probably our biggest challenge, because we really just need to make sure that those are working in order to keep the water quality the way that it should be, and safe for not only just the active duty training, but our family members. And so sometimes, it doesn't always fit in the budget, which can be stressful. And so that is where I would say our biggest challenge.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, Judy, how about you? What's your challenge? What keeps you up at night?
Yeah, I would say I could mirror exactly what Beth just said. And then the other thing is also the challenge of deployments and finding the right programs to keep people engaged and do what MWR is supposed to do, improve the morale of our families and soldiers, which I think we do a good job of, but deployments sometimes take a toll on our programs as well.
Yeah.
But again, what Beth said, that is the number one thing that the funding and keeping the facilities looking good.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Well, that's and you talk about deployments. That really comes to mission, and what we
Mhm.
ultimately really support is that readiness and resiliency of our military and their families, and that's what it's all about. Why we even exist. So, Wes, challenge for you.
Yeah, I'll double down. No more pickleball courts. The running joke in our industry is we're going to take the water out and seal it over, make a pickleball court. And I think that's sentimenting what Judy and Beth are saying is we need to fund it, we need to budget it, and God bless pickleball. I have no problem with it, but our pools cannot become pickleball courts, and it comes back to what you guys are saying. And I think again for me a challenge is to as a person is to make sure I can do a better job of telling people I can help. But the bigger one is we went a whole hour and never talked about drowning.
Sure.
Drowning, if you're autistic, my daughter's on the spectrum. If you're autistic, my phrase is you're either going to die of old age or drowning, because so it's such a high rate, right? It's not super accurate, but it does drive home the fact that people on the spectrum that are neurodivergent have such a high drowning rate, and more people drown today than they did last year. And so that's my message is we have, and not me, we in this group, we're doing the yeoman's work, but as a culture, whether it's buckling your seatbelt, whether it's Mothers Against Drunk Driving, whether it's swim lessons in schools, we just have to get back to the fact that the pool is a safe place. None of us play with our grandparents in the water anymore. None of us play with the kids in the water anymore. We put our lane lines in and we swim laps or teach lessons. And I think the challenge we're facing is spreading the word that the pool is a safe place, generationally, financially, wherever you come from, stereotypically, all those things, and getting back to the basics of water safety, drowning prevention, and having these type of conversations and understanding that 95% of what we do, we have the same common challenges. And so those would be no more pickleball courts, and let's spread the word about water safety and drowning prevention at a larger level.
Yeah, great way to close it out, Wes, and that's what we're in the business for. So, all right. Well, Beth, thank you so much. Say hi to Celine and Danielle for me, and Judy, thanks again, and give my best to Matt.
I will.
He gave you the highest recommendation when I talked to him, so he's a great guy.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Wes, thank you so much, and I promise I am going to find somebody that's on a big deck who's doing the fun boss work or fit boss, and we're going to talk swim calls. Swim calls really kind of
that lit me up, brother. I'm so excited.
It's all about deployments. I shared some pictures on your Facebook site, and we'll get a session just about that to your audience, and
that lit me up.
The craziness of swim call when you're out on a deployment on a large deck. So we'll go from there. But thank you so much. I appreciate all of you for being out here today. So that's it for On the Front Line. And again, thank you to our guests and the amazing stories and journeys in their profession and the good work they're all doing. We'll be back next week, same time, same place for another great episode. So on behalf of DPRS Media and On the Front Line, the Military Rec Show, I'm John Prue, and we are out here.
Thank you.
They say it's just rec. Just rec, where kids learn to try again. Just rec, where confidence begins. Where teamwork, effort, and fun matter more than trophies. It's not about perfection. It's about participation. It's not just rec. It's where kids learn to love the game and themselves. It's just rec until they learn teamwork for life. It's just rec, but it's everything to them. It's more than rec. It's a movement. It's just rec until you realize it's shaping the next generation. Together, we're not just running programs, we're building a culture of confidence, connection, and community. Join us.
Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co., we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co. puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product, growing your presence in public spaces, targeting cities, counties, or departments, DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion parks and rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move parks and rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.